Welcome to AI Chill Club, where we break down the newest AI tools so you don't miss a thing. In this video, we're covering new AI tools for photo editing and image creation. Let's get into it. A lot of AI image editors can make a dramatic change, but the real question is whether the result stays believable. Qwen-Image-Edit 2511 is presented as an image editing model focused on two hard problems: identity consistency and multi-person edits. So in this segment, we'll look at what their official examples suggest it can do, and where limits might still show up. So let's walk through the showcase categories, because they're basically a checklist of what breaks first. First, character consistency. They describe character consistency as significantly improved, and they show imaginative edits while trying to preserve identity and visual characteristics. While these examples are on screen, don't get stuck on style. Look for identity anchors, face shape, eyes, hairline, skin texture. That overall "who is this" signal. A good edit doesn't just look nice. It feels like the same person stepped into a different scenario. Second, multi-person consistency. This is one of the nastiest stress tests in image editing. They claim improvements for group photos, including merging two separate person images into a coherent group shot. Group edits are where models often panic. So if these examples hold together, it's a strong signal of maturity. Third, built-in LoRa effects without extra tuning. They describe integrating selected popular LoRas directly into the base model, so you can get certain effects out of the box. They also show a lighting enhancement example. The idea is simple: better lighting control instantly, and lighting is what makes edits feel real. Next, generating new viewpoints. This is subtle but powerful. Changing camera angle forces geometry to make sense. So here's the test. Do straight lines stay straight? Do objects keep plausible shape? Does the scene still feel like one coherent world? If that holds up, the editor is moving toward 3D-aware behavior, even from a single 2D image. Then the showcase shifts into real-world use, industrial design. They say they paid special attention to practical engineering scenarios, like batch industrial product design. That matters because real workflows punish sloppy edits. If a model can handle product visuals, stable shapes, clean boundaries, consistent materials, it's usually not just doing random artistic transformations. So it's a strong credibility test. And finally, geometric reasoning. They showcase a capability like generating auxiliary construction lines for design or annotation. That's not "make it pretty," that's "help me think visually." That doesn't mean it will work perfectly on every photo, but it does tell you what the team is prioritizing. Less random magic, more controlled editing. If you want to try it, the simplest option is the official Hugging Face demo in a browser. It's usually free to try, but it may be rate limited when traffic is high. If you want to run it locally, the model and quick start steps are on the official pages, but you'll want suitable hardware for comfortable performance. Links are in the description. So the overall read, based on the official showcase, is clear. The model is most focused on identity stability, group consistency, and practical edits like lighting and materials. By the way, I cover brand new AI releases every few days. If you want to keep up without digging through the noise, feel free to subscribe. What if an AI could turn a normal image back into a layered file, like a mini Photoshop project? This is Qwen-Image-Layered. Qwen-Image-Layered takes a single RGB image and decomposes it into multiple RGBA layers. Each layer has transparency, so you can manipulate one element without breaking the rest. The model page describes this as multiple RGBA layers with inherent editability, meaning layers can be resized, repositioned, and recolored independently. Each layer is a cutout with transparency, and it can include content that's partially occluded. So when you move something, you don't instantly reveal empty holes. The Qwen team frames this as bringing the layered workflow of design tools into AI generation and editing. They also published a Hugging Face space demo. It shows the intended workflow. Upload an image, decompose into layers, preview the result. And one practical detail they mention: exporting as a PowerPoint file. So the layers become objects you can literally move around in slides. So the takeaway is simple. Qwen-Image-Layered is trying to make AI editing more stable by changing the format, from a single flat image to multiple editable layers. It won't replace skilled design work, but it can save time on the slow, repetitive parts. All official links are in the description. Have you noticed how AI image editors look magical? right until you ask for something annoyingly specific, like, change the used cup on this messy desk, but don't touch the glass next to it. That's where a lot of tools fall apart. They edit the wrong object, or the change spills into the background. So today we're looking at RePlan. RePlan is not a new image model by itself. It's a plan, then execute layer that sits on top of an image editor and tries to make edits more precise, especially in cluttered scenes. Here's the idea in plain English. Most instruction-based editors treat your instruction like one big global prompt. But real instructions usually have two parts, targets and constraints. RePlan tries to split those steps. First, it plans. It figures out what parts of the image your instruction is actually talking about. Then it executes. It runs the edit using a diffusion-based editor, but with region guidance so the model doesn't bleed into everything else. The team describes the core issue as instruction visual complexity, meaning your instruction is detailed and the image is visually busy or ambiguous. That combination is where edits get messy. The most important thing RePlan adds is visible. It generates region guidance, basically bounding boxes, plus short local hints for each box. So instead of make these changes somewhere in the image, it becomes edit this box in this specific way and leave these other boxes alone. That sounds simple, but it's a huge difference in practice. One official example makes it obvious. The instruction is basically replace the used cup left on the desk with a small potted plant. And the key detail is the image has more than one cup-like object. So the planner does two things. One, it identifies the most likely target, the cup that looks used and left behind. Two, it explicitly protects the other similar object. Keep this one unchanged. So visually, you'll see one box over the target cup with a hint like, replace with a small potted plant, and another box over the other cup or glass with a hint like, keep unchanged. This is what humans do naturally, but most editors don't, unless you force it with tedious masking. Under the hood, RePlan can plug into different backbone editors. Now, keep expectations realistic. RePlan is researchy. It's designed to improve precision and background consistency in hard cases. But it's not a one-click consumer app with perfect reliability. And if your instruction is vague, like make it nicer, the planner can't read your mind. RePlan shines when you have clear targets, especially in crowded scenes. Access-wise, the project is open source on GitHub, and they host the planner model and benchmark dataset on Hugging Face, so the code is free to download and run locally. For online trying, what's publicly visible is mainly the project page demos and the Hugging Face pages, not a fully public official web editor that anyone can use instantly. So the big takeaway is simple. RePlan targets a specific failure mode in AI editing, cluttered scene, precise instruction. Instead of trusting one global prompt to magically land on the right pixels, it forces the system to point at what it means first, then execute the edit with guardrails. Here's a camera problem we all know. You take a photo, and later you realize the focus is slightly off, or the background blur is just not what you wanted. Normally, you can't change the lens after the fact, but this project is trying to do exactly that. It's called Generative Refocusing. Sometimes you'll also see GenFocus, and the claim is very specific. Given a single photo, it estimates an all-in focus version, then lets you refocus the image and adjust how strong the background blur should be, even letting you tweak the aperture feel. In plain terms, their method is two stages. Stage 1, recover a clean, all-in focus image. They call this deblurnet. Stage 2, generate the defocus effect, the bokeh, based on where you want the focus plane and how strong you want the blur. They call this bokehnet. So instead of doing everything in one pass, they rebuild a sharp baseline first, then apply controlled blur in a second step. That's the main design choice. One visual element you'll notice in their demos is a heat map overlay. That's their synthesized defocus map. A guide that says, how out of focus should each region be? Don't think of it as perfect depth. Think of it as a control map that helps decide where blur belongs. On the page, they show result sections like historical images and in the wild images. Each one is basically showing two tasks, all-in-focus estimation and refocusing. And to their credit, they don't pretend this is easy. They include a dedicated failure cases section later. And the example they highlight is concrete. When the input is severely blurred, the model can hallucinate incorrect details, like reconstructing text wrong. So this isn't a perfect refocus button. It can work very well, but it can also guess confidently when the input is too degraded. Access-wise, you can try the interactive demo on their project page. They also provide an online demo on Hugging Face. That space is typically free to try in the browser, but it can be rate limited when traffic is high. If you want to run it locally, the code is on GitHub under an Apache 2.0 license. One important note from their setup: their local demo relies on a Flux One dev backbone, and that backbone is gated, meaning you may need access approval and a token for local runs. So, free to view, free to try online, and open source to run locally, but local use still depends on hardware and backbone access. Wrap up. Generative refocusing is best understood as a virtual camera edit. Start from one photo, estimate an all-in-focus baseline, then apply controllable refocus with adjustable blur strength. The demos look strongest when the subject is clear and the focus choice is obvious, and the project is honest about limits when the input blur is extreme. So, if your content is about practical, controllable image editing, this is a clean example of diffusion models being used for camera-style edits, not just generation. That's it for today. If you found these AI tools useful, give the video a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more updates. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Stay chill.